Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Saturday, April 15th. Things are growing hand over fist in my Zone 8B garden, and I thought I would show you the potager today. But I'd start here with my wild daylilies. They're starting to open up quickly now. The heat is upon us. It's about 82 or 83 right now. Easter lilies are still blooming. I finally did see my Lenten rose. The second one has opened, and this is a slightly pinkish green color as opposed to the other one, which is more maroon. Still has the green in it, but nonetheless, it's doing well. Poor baby is visiting today, but the heat does not get along, or she doesn't do all that well in the heat. Okay, let's go around to the potager. I've been working in the front today, cleaning up my crepe myrtle. Oh, I did notice while I was walking through here, I do have some little satsumas on my tree already. The late frost we had didn't get to this particular tree, and if all goes well, I may have some fruit this year. There are others here and there, but this is the largest clump of fruit. I don't like to count my fruit before they are harvested, but one thing I can say for a fact is I will never have more than this year. They may not make it, but we'll see. I've been cleaning up my crepe myrtle. I don't know if you can see the top of it. When you pollard crepe myrtles, remember pollarding is cutting high up in the top of a bush or tree, they form a clump of new growth. And you don't have to. I like to prune out the new growth and select those bits that grow upward to make it look like a tree again. I guess in theory you could select those that droop downward and you could turn your crepe myrtle into a weeping crepe myrtle. I don't like the look, so I only keep the upward facing branches. But I thought I would share with you today. I wish you could be here and just smell the scents of this garden. Oh, I have a butterfly. I don't know what kind of butterfly it is, but it's the first of my butterflies on my butterfly bush, which is a very fragrant bush. In fact, this whole front yard is just absolutely full of fragrance. Here you can see, of course, the butterfly bushes are blooming. Here and here. I've kind of duplicated on both sides the same thing. And my foxgloves are also starting to bloom. My dianthus that I planted last fall is still there and is blooming again. This is still my late blooming thalia daffodil with ant. I don't know if you can make the ant out there. It's probably a biting ant, so I need to be careful. I do have some flowers on one of my tomatoes. Let's see what's notable here. The dill is coming nicely. Sage. This, by the way, I talked about as bee balm. Bergamot is the other name for it. It is the taste, fragrance, whatever you want to call it, that's in Earl Grey tea, that makes Earl Grey tea taste like Earl Grey tea. So you could potentially take a few leaves of that and crumble it up in your regular black tea, and it'll make it taste a little bit like Earl Grey. I did notice, I thought I was going crazy, but I brought that bee balm back from another garden up north, and when it was up north, it bloomed red like the dianthus next to it. But over the years, it has morphed into a violet color. And I looked it up a couple of days ago. It's amazing what you can find on Google. You might have to dig down a little and weed out the stupidity. But in any event, if you can find that it apparently reverts to its natural form, and its natural form is a lavender color. So that's what has happened to me. This plant that looks out of place is a 4 o'clock that seeded itself from last year, so I've left it. These tomatoes, although they're sunnier, do not have any flowers yet. This is cilantro. Of course, here's basil. My lettuce is going over a little bit. Parsley. The wandering dude, or purple plant there, isn't really something you can eat, but you can use it like aloe on wounds or cuts. Let's see, is there anything else of note here? It just is absolutely full of fragrance, like I say, with the blooming of the butterfly bushes. Oh, and the other thing that's full of scent as well is, look at these snapdragons, or antirrhinums. I planted them in the fall, and they bloomed once. I really, really love that color. My grandmother Sophie was very fond of that particular color, so that's one of the reasons. And I grew up with her watching me a lot because my mom worked, so she was a big influencer in terms of my gardening, because she always had that color red plants. And by the way, the snapdragons do have a fragrance. And while I'm around in the front, the other thing of note is, I'll see if you can see it. I do have one magnolia, southern magnolia. Well, actually, this is a little gem magnolia. I don't know as if you can see that particular flower. The tree is absolutely loaded with bud. That's probably the mature height of that tree. There are some flowers at the top. It's going to do much better now that it is fully exposed. It's in its younger life. I had another loquat years ago that is planted where this red crepe myrtle, well, it's not red anymore, but it was red. This purplish leaved crepe myrtle is. I had a large loquat because I had a hedge of loquats trees, and in any event it died out. But what it did is it made this tree, the magnolia, one-sided, and so when the loquat was taking out, it's slowly filling out in that direction. And since the oak is now removed, it's going to get a lot more sun, so hopefully it'll fill out in that direction really quickly. So the whole front yard is bathed in scents, because you have the watermelon scent of the little gem camellia and the two different sweet scents of the butterfly bush and the snapdragons, or antirrhinums. Let's see. Oh, I did want to show you the other tree here is the fig that I just planted this year, and it is already showing signs of sprouts. Once when you have a fig tree, or you have a friend with a fig tree, or a neighbor with a fig tree that's leaning over your property, you don't really need to buy fig trees. If you take a cutting, especially like this, of new growth, and maybe 6 to 8 inches. Stick it in water, strip off the bottom leaves, put it in water for a couple of weeks. It'll send out roots. And once when you start to see roots being sent out, pot it up, put it in a pot of dirt of some sort, or just stick it out in the ground if you're in a zone 8B, and it will catch. And here's the last of my amaryllis blooming. So that's it for today. The potager is really starting to fill out nicely. Lots of herbs. Oh, the other thing I did plant, and the birds haven't found it yet, is I tucked in some more okra. I was so successful last year. I put in 3 okra plants here and 3 on the other side. And so far, the birds have not pecked it out. There are the other 3 plants. I think one of the things that helps is this is a very busy garden. When I tried growing seeds here last year or a couple of years ago, there wasn't as much stuff there, so the new sprouts stuck out like a sore thumb, and the birds came from miles around to gobble them up. So I kind of like just sticking things here in this little patch in the front yard. And I'll leave you with that today. Here's a close-up of the butterfly bush. Have a good day.